Hello everyone and welcome back to Battletech, specifically Battletech Advanced 3062. It's been a while and today we're doing something actually at the request of a recent viewer. So we're taking a look at the Archer 5S. This is a 75-ton heavy mech, 70-ton heavy mech, and the 5S variant is specifically the one fielded by the Federated Commonwealth. So you might see this going against House Davion or against House Steiner. So the default configuration, I have to say, isn't terrible for a stock mech. The armor is pretty heavy, at least in the front, and that is something that, point toward enemy sort of thing tends to work out. We do have, it looks like, 4 medium pulse lasers and 2 LRM-15s as well as a NARC launcher, and this is where things get a little weird. Also 2 Streak SRM-2s, where I tend to think that the Archer is better served as a dedicated support mech than whatever mid-range thing this is trying to be. And if we take a look at why, well, the maximum range on the LRM-15s is 840. The optimal range, the min range is 180. However, these medium pulse lasers have a maximum range of 240, which means that by the time you can actually bring the close range armament to bear, you've moved so far forward that your LRM-15s are virtually useless. And that's not the role that you're going to have in mind for a big, slow, long-range support mech. So the first thing that I would always do with this variant is just rip out all of the medium pulse lasers. Just yank them right out of there. And the reason is, look at that, 8 free tons. Each one of those was 2 tons and was going to be basically wasted on this sort of mech. So options include tacking on, well, you can increase each of these to an LRM-20, and that'll run you, it looks like, 6 additional tons. So you get an additional 10 missiles for 6 tons. Or what you can do, because you do have a free slot here in the left-hand side, is you can get a little bit creative with your ammo placement. So let's say we'll put one of those in the leg, one of those in the other side. Let's just make that case look a little bit better. And we can go over and grab another LRM-15 from the side here. Oh, where is it? Long range. Here it is. LRM-15. And that fits just right in there. I hate having the case above anything else. And we still have 1 free ton. Now that free ton could be anything. If you have it, I would recommend bringing some sort of TTS ballistic. So, for example, 1 ton overweights. Tell you what we could do is we could, let's see, that's an arc beacon. Ah, right, okay, we have 2 tons of Streak SRM ammunition and we only launch them 4 at a time. That's never going to get used. There we go. So what this does is it keeps the Streak SRM-2s so that you can at least do something at mid-range. And take notice, 360 meter range is far longer than that 240 on the lasers that we took out, the pulse lasers that we removed. So this is actually somewhat functional. The Streak SRM-2s are still not exactly going to be used all that often, but hey, it's better than nothing. And if we go over, now let's say this is our generic sort of easy early game build where you don't really have a lot of technology. Well, let's see what we can get with a bit more tech in here. So let's say we put ferrofibrous on, and this is relatively easy to get. One easy thing to do here is just up armor, so we could maximize the armor in the torsos, particularly the center torso, which is a little bit light for a 70-ton mech, as well as start putting a little bit more onto the rear CTs, and that would definitely be a good use of this additional weight. If you want to do something else with it, though, what you could do is you could always take a look at gyros. So, in particular, what you'll want is something like defense gyro, so 1 evasion pip gain from moving. This is just flat 1 added, so if a move would ordinarily get you 0, you get 1. If you would ordinarily get 1, you get 2. So on and so forth. And that can really be pretty impactful for a mech that's this slow. So each one of those evasion pips, of course, gives you -2, well, gives your opponent -2 to hit. So that's a very impactful thing there. You could also just go for the standard defense gyro if you intend to be standing still. So oh, that actually doesn't take any tonnage. My bad on that. What you could do here if you're going for a defense gyro is you could, actually yes, okay, here's a better one. So +2 maximum evasion, +1 evasion pips. Well, we don't really need that. Okay, so we'll leave the Gyro defense in there, and what we'll do is we'll take out the Streak SRM2s and say this is +1 defense, so it doesn't matter if we move. So we're just gonna park in the trees somewhere and keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting, right? So let's go back to our cockpit now, and we want an FCS Artemis 4, so we're gonna grab that. And this you don't always have early on, but you know, as I said, we've transitioned from our early game build into our more late game build. So we also don't need the additional ton of SRM ammunition. So let's go into long range, and with an Artemis 4 fire control system, you can get Artemis 4 ammunition, which has +3 direct fire accuracy, which is more helpful than you might think. It actually comes in handy quite often, I find, particularly on maps that don't have that much elevation. And just generic +1 accuracy, so even indirect fire will benefit from the Artemis 4 ammunition. And let's see, so we're shooting 60 per, 45 per volley, so 90 every 2. Okay, so that's what? A little under 3 volleys. So that would be about 8 volleys between 3 of them. Let's get a 4th box. That's pretty good, actually. We could, I mean, 12 volleys is pretty hefty. We have 5.5 tons left, so something we could do with that is grab, I don't know, you could grab an SRM-6, you could grab a couple things, or if you wanted to get a little bit more versatile of a loadout, this would be, I think, a good time for an ER large laser. So we can tack that on there, and now we have direct fire assistance just like we did with medium pulse lasers, but we have a range out to 840 meters. So if you're sitting up on the top of a hill somewhere in the trees firing off 45 LRMs every single time, and we actually don't need that case anymore, so we have an additional ton. Good. Now you can just shoot an ER large laser with it and shoot all 3 of your LRM-15s and get a little bit of direct fire as well. So that's pretty nice. One thing to use an additional ton that would be kind of good to add on would be, oh, I don't know, I guess it's in short range. Yes, ammo, narc, explosive narc is not really going to be, I mean, geez, 20 damage per shot too. So I guess that's 40, it's not horrible. I would go with haywire though, so this is some really cool ammunition that actually slows down your enemies, so reduce their movement, accuracy. It'll also overload their heat management a little bit, which means that if you're pairing this up with some sort of flamer mech or something like that, maybe a fire starter, then that could definitely be a useful tool to have in your arsenal. So I would probably work on the ammunition placement a little bit in this. Having your leg blow up is not great, but at the same time, if this is a backline mech, it really shouldn't happen all that often unless you're losing horribly enough that you should really back out of the mission anyway. So this is sort of what I would say is more of a mid-game build. Of course, late game just gets kind of crazy anyway, but this should be pretty functional. I've used something pretty similar myself. I didn't have the narc launcher, so instead I had this up-armored, maybe an additional medium laser just because of a spare ton, but it was pretty nice. It was pretty good. It doesn't really use the battle fists, but I don't think this is a mech that you really want to be getting into brawling range for, at least not in this configuration. So that's all we've got for today. Thank you all for hanging around. We'll see you again real soon.